Modern Iran is now a regional superpower whose influence extends far beyond its borders. Iranians are at the center of Middle Eastern political affairs, from Lebanon to Iraq to Gaza. For the US and Israel, its age-old foes, this growing influence is a cause for alarm. And yet, this fear is nothing new. From the first days of the Islamic Republic, Grand Ayatollah Khomeini spoke of the need to export the revolution, and his first target in 1982 was Lebanon.
At that time, Israel invaded Lebanon and proceeded to the heart of Beirut during 1 week. The Israeli troops captured Beirut too. Israel claimed that it wanted to arrest the Palestinian militants and drive them out of South Lebanon.
Khomeini was determined to build a force to counter the Israeli invaders, but rather than send his own troops into Lebanon, he opted for resistance by stealth. His ever-loyal Revolutionary Guards would become central in taking the fight to Israel, without ever leaving Iranian soil. Instead, Lebanese Shia volunteers would be brought to Iran for training by this crack unit.
He said, I will assign them a mission. They have to train young Lebanese forces to defend their own country, and they can drive out the enemy from their land with the background support of Iran.
So, following direct instructions from Khomeini, one of the Arab world's most feared and revered organizations was born, Hezbollah.
The foundation and formation of Hezbollah took shape with a very precise thinking of the Imam. Then the Lebanese forces were trained by the Revolutionary Guard in a very professional way in Camp Ginetta. Then they started their struggle against Israel.
As the summer war of 2006 demonstrated, the struggle continues to this day. And since Mahmoud Ahmadinejad became president in 2005, relations between Iran and Israel have worsened immeasurably. Beyond the name-calling and rhetoric, the issue of nuclear proliferation has heightened tensions in an already unstable region. Israel's arsenal of nuclear weapons is a constant source of discomfort to its Middle Eastern neighbors and reinforces suspicions of Western double standards. At the same time, Iran's determination to pursue a nuclear program continues to cause unease in the West, despite repeated Iranian assurances that such technology would be used only for peaceful purposes.
I must explain that nuclear energy is different from nuclear weapons. Nuclear science and energy can improve and shift a country like an engine. The issue of nuclear science has been misinterpreted by politicians.
And the father of Iran's nuclear program under the Shah agrees that Iran has a right to develop nuclear power and not just for peaceful purposes.
Why should not Iran have it? We are in a region that Pakistan has it, Israel has it, India has it, Russia has it. How is it that everybody has it now? Iran should not have it. Now, who is the judge in the world? America? They want to decide for the whole world? We have seen what they have done in Iraq. We have seen what they have done in Afghanistan. They have also in mind to do something against Iran. Every day I get up, somebody in America or in Israel, they say, we attack Iran, we attack nuclear facilities in Iran, and so on. This is amazing. They have made the war a very aggressive war. Attacking Iran has become a normal thing that you hear every day. And they say Iran is aggressive. They say Iran is going to make the bomb.
Iran aggressively pursues these weapons and exports terror. States like these and their terrorist allies constitute an axis of evil.
The Bush administration made Iran its public enemy #1, characterizing it as a maverick nation hell-bent on harnessing nuclear power to further its sinister ambitions. And even with a new president in the White House, the axis of evil label has so far proven difficult to shed.
One of the things that the Iranians have not done, because they don't want to talk about the possibility that they'll try to develop nuclear weapons, is to explain to the rest of the world that Iran is still on the axis of evil, that Iran is still threatened by the United States, that American troops occupy the country immediately to the east of Iran, Afghanistan, immediately to the west of Iran, Iraq. To the south, the United States has nuclear-powered, nuclear-armed aircraft carriers in the Persian Gulf, and we have air bases north of Iran in Central Asia. I'd be scared to death if I was an Iranian.
Yet many Americans claim that they too are scared by Iranian saber-rattling.
The concern that I think has been accentuated by Ahmadinejad's rhetoric is that there is a kind of aggressive desire to identify one group or one country in this region whose existence is not acceptable, and to wipe it off the face of the earth.
Today, Iran is an independent country and is not subordinate to any country in the world. It doesn't accept orders from any country. It has reached its goals, independence and no subordination. And we are at the peak of this independence. The whole world says you shouldn't possess nuclear science. The Iranian nation says we must have it. And so does the government.
The firebrand speeches of Ahmadinejad portray a nation united in its opposition to Western governments. But in truth, a battle continues behind the scenes, a battle for the very soul of the Islamic Revolution. The Islamic Republic is defined by two paradoxical political beliefs. On the one side are the ultra-conservative clerics and their followers, whose interests are represented by President Ahmadinejad. On the other side, you have the reformists, a more moderate face of the Republic, represented by former President Khatami.
If you look at basically the differences between the Khatami administration and the Ahmadinejad administration, you have the two poles. I mean, you have the two wings of the revolution still fighting it out. One that says that this is an Islamic republic with the emphasis on the republic, and the others saying this is, with the emphasis on the Islamic. I mean, and the republic is actually rather irrelevant to everyone.
Under Ahmadinejad, Iran has pursued a policy of confrontation with the West. Economic sanctions have done nothing to soften this stance. But the more moderate Iranian political wing favors a different course.
Mr. Khatami introduced his theory of dialogue among civilizations in the United Nations and his theory of dialogue among cultures and religions. He was capable at that time to lower the tension, but Mr. Ahmadinejad has chosen a different method. In my opinion, this method has its losses and gains. We must remember that Ahmadinejad became president of Iran at a time when US President Bush used very strong language against Iran. Ahmadinejad, in such a situation, applied more offensive policies.
That is a natural consequence of, again, some of the pressures that were put upon Iran, particularly when Khatami was speaking about the dialogue among civilizations, was promoting basic freedoms, political rights in the country. Then suddenly Iran is put in the axis of evil, and a new series of threats against Iran are launched. This puts Iran in a very difficult circumstances. A lot of the radicalism that occurs in countries like Iran is a result of these pressures coming from abroad, particularly in countries where you're dealing with a long history of foreign intervention.
The Iranian presidential elections will take place in June this year. In global terms, the results may prove to be no less important than that of last November's American elections. But beneath the surface, Iranian society in the 21st century is surprisingly varied and nuanced.